absolute value. So the absolute value is the distance between the number we're talking about and 0. Absolute value is always going to be a positive number because distance can never be negative. If you think about walking, if I take 6 steps forward and 6 steps back, I've taken a total of 12 steps. Granted, I ended up where I started, but I still traveled forward and backwards. I didn't take a negative number of steps. I took a positive number in 2 different directions. So it's always going to be a positive number for your answers. So if we look at example 1, absolute value is written with these vertical bars. So the absolute value of a positive 4 is still positive 4. If we look at example 2, if I have the absolute value of a negative 3, this is saying how far from 0 is negative 3, and that is 3 spaces. It's technically 3 spaces to the left of 0, but it's still just 3 spaces. If you look over here, you see that the negative is out in front of the absolute value. So we're going to work the absolute value first. So the absolute value of a positive 3 is still positive. But since my negative sign is on the outside, I still need to apply that to my number. So the answer for example 3 is going to be a negative 3. If we look at example 4, again, I have a negative on the outside and a negative on the inside. So if I work the absolute value first, the absolute value of a negative 3 is a positive 3. But since my negative sign's on the outside, then it needs to be a negative 3 for my answer. Now if we use some examples for equations to solve. Do the individual absolute values first, and then apply the extra rules. So if I look at the absolute value of negative 5, I'm going to get a positive 5. If I look at the absolute value of positive 2, I get a positive 2. It's telling me to add, so I'm going to bring that sign down. And now when I combine them, 5 plus 2 is going to give me 7. So my answer is a positive 7. If over here, again, I have a positive 3 inside of my absolute value, which means it's going to spit out as a positive 3. I have a negative 4, which spits out as a positive 4. But now I have a negative sign, so when I bring that down and I subtract, 3 minus 4 is going to give me a negative 1. If we look at example 3, again, work them individually. So if I have the absolute value of a negative 2, it's going to be a positive 2. I have the absolute value of a negative 6, it's going to be a positive 6. I bring down my signs, so since this negative is in front, it needs to be in front of the 2. Now I have a positive, or an addition, and I'm going to add 6 to it. So negative 2 and positive 6 is going to give me a positive 4. If we look at this word problem, it says Will climbed 30 feet up a rock wall. He then descends 22 feet to a landing area. How many total feet does he climb? So think of this as that walking. We walk forward 30, we walk back 22. So if I have 30 feet up, so it's going to be a positive 30 plus descends means subtract 22. So I have a positive 30 plus a negative 22. If I want to find the total feet he climbed, we're doing the absolute values. So I'm going to have 30 negative 22 is going to spit out as a positive 22. If I have this plus sign, I'm adding them together. So 52 feet is how much total he climbed.